All right, everybody, Rob Ferretti here in my Chevy Volt, and we are now at 25,328 miles. Now, what's cool about that is we're coming up on the end of my lease, and I start asking myself all these questions. Should I buy it? Should I keep it? What should I do? Should I return it? Oh, there's some stuff I have to fix. And did I maintain it properly? Am I going to be charged for this? Am I going to be charged for that? Well, the answer is, who the hell knows? But let's talk about it. So, I always have a question with leases. With a lease, it's not your car, but you do have to maintain it because if you don't, they're going to charge you for it, right? But like here, I brought it in for a service at like 15,000 miles. And then they put this sticker on the car, which, there you go. That sticker says next service due 17,456 miles. Well, let's just put it this way. Car's got 25,328 miles and I haven't done that service because, you know what? It's an electric car. Why do I have to change the oil every so often? Like, if I never really use it, do I really have to change the oil? Like, is the oil actually being used or am I just changing the oil? It just, something's missing there. Like, what sort of service history do you want to see on an EV, on an electric vehicle? That was a, lingo. And the question is, like, it depends how much engine time you have running on it. Now, the engine in this is different than the engine you're used to in a car. Just the engine is used to recharge the battery, and the car essentially is a battery operated car that has an engine backup generator. Think of having like a Generac unit in your house. So if your power goes out, you just, that gas unit, it's natural gas, or I think they even do them on diesel. You fill it up, the generator generates electricity, you plug the car into it, and off you go. So, it's just like, I don't know. It's I don't know what the expected service intervals would be, and that would be my only real concern. It's really tough to do that. That's one of the appeals of like the Tesla and everything like that. It's effectively a golf cart. Like, it really is just a big battery, and other than like swapping the battery, the tires, and the brakes, there's really not much to it. There's like really not much that can require. It doesn't need the oil changes, the diff fluid. It doesn't have any of this like nonsense that you have to really worry about in a regular gas powered car. So how did it hold up? Well, let me pull over. We're going to be here, be over at the shop in a second, and we'll look how it held up. And the answer is all right. The actual maintenance costs on this in the first, let's say because I got about 6 months left on the lease. In the first 30 months, so just a hair under 3 years, is 2.5 years. The maintenance cost so far has been zero. Like, I have spent $0 and 0 cents to repair or do anything having to do with the operation of the car. I didn't have to. I changed the oil, but that first oil change was free. It's the original tires, and then aside from like refinishing a wheel or two, I don't have anything that resembles maintenance costs, which is nice. Like, when you lease a car, it's nice to not have any maintenance costs. A lot of manufacturers, the OEMs, they'll include maintenance in the lease because they know otherwise people won't do it. And they'll be like, yeah, of course I got the oil changed. But they'll really drive at 25,000 miles, which I'm sure you can do, or 30,000, 40,000 miles without changing the oil, and the car will survive, but it's not the best thing for the car. I can definitely see that as being the case. And then how are you going to prove somebody didn't change the oil? It turns into a lot of he said, she said for no reason. So I see that. Like, I definitely see that as being a valid concern. On a gas car, you don't really have that on this. I don't think anyone would buy an electric car and not ultimately drive it on electric. And I drive this when I can on electric. It charges up pretty quickly. The gas, I would say, is used 5% of the time. My long term, and I'll tell you what my long term is in a second. Ooh, nice GT3 over there. I'll tell you what my long term is in a second, but I think the long term fuel economy is like 54 miles per gallon. Obviously, I'm in an apartment right now that doesn't have the apartment doesn't have any charging ports, so I'm not plugging my car in at night, which is what I would usually do. Let me just see. We've got flow info. Yeah, we've got a 56.2 miles per gallon. My lifetime average for miles per gallon is 77.4, which, I mean, you know better than I do, that's pretty good. The last 366 miles, I used 10 gallons, which means it's averaging 9 gallons. It's averaging about 40 miles per gallon, which is what I've seen when I'm just operating on gas. Let's see, 48 miles per gallon combined. But just having like that, even at 60, 70 miles per gallon, that's worth its weight in gold right there. No check engine lights, no nonsense. The interior's held up well. I mean, it's really something that if the car has a significant value, I'll probably just end up keeping it. I'll show you the little dings and dents. It's just natural stuff after owning something for 3 years in this area. Now, I don't know where most of this stuff came from because, honestly, I let anyone drive this thing. But this is probably the most significant. And I don't know if it's a compression, like it's flopped down, like from hitting something, or it actually made contact with something. I don't know. It's there. I'm aware of it. The tires are still pretty good. The stuff that bothers me, this wheel is scratched. I don't know who did this. I never hit anything, but this is a curb. Somebody parallel parking that's not very good at it. Got this little scratch right here, but that could probably be buffed out. This little nick right here. This bothers me. This is a key. Somebody keyed my car. This is like that, like perfect height. They were probably, you know what, maybe it was me, because that looks exactly about my I'm a little lower. I would have to be up here, but that's a key mark, because why not? Fuck you, Volt owner. That, I don't know what that is. That's more damage. And see, the problem is I'm gonna have to fix all this when I return it. That's all the damage on the car. I think there was another, yeah, right here on the wheel. I don't know if that comes off, but that should clean up. But other than that, the car is pretty clean. And then whatever happened in Shavam's parking garage up here, I don't know if they ripped that off and put it back on. Like, you see the gap under there? Shavam's like, yeah, I don't know what they did, but it's and then he just waved at me. It's just like, but that's, all of these things I'm gonna have to fix. So now the question is, I sort of make out, I think the values on these hold pretty strong. And it may make sense for me to buy this off of lease. I don't really have any complaints with it. It's probably a better play than getting the Tesla. I'm still on the fence as to whether I'd like the Tesla or this thing, but again, zero issues with it. I mean, in 25,000 miles, I got another 10 to go on the lease. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to do the other 10. It's held up fairly well. I would definitely still give it a thumbs up on the recommend. I'd still suggest it to people that have less than, just say like less than 25 or 30 miles in each direction to and from work, or to and from like their daily use. So if you're doing less than 60 miles a day, this is an excellent car for you. So the only real complaint would be if the range was accurate, I'd be much happier with it. That's the only real thing that I can complain about. When you think you have, when you buy something saying like, oh, I can make do with 65 miles, but it's not really 65 miles. It is a valid concern, a valid complaint. I don't know what the next generation Volt is or what the next generation EV is, but as far as just a people mover, point A to point B, like predictable, does what you want it to do, and just like an absolutely pedestrian people mover, it's like perfect for that. And you don't have to think about it. I paid $273 a month with no money down for this on lease. I think it's worth still in like the mid-20s, and for a car that was like 33 new, depending on where that tax credit falls and what my purchase option is at the time of at the lease end, if the purchase option is like 18 or 16 or something like that, I'm gonna buy it, because that means even if I buy it and sell it for 21 or something like that, I'm in the money in this thing for a fairly long time. But no real complaints other than that. That is the, let's just call it 2.5-year update on the Volt, 25,000 mile update on the Volt. Long-term driver, and it's like, it's not an exotic, I get it, but it's important for me to share stuff like this with you, because a lot of people are like, hey, what's a good reliable car that I can drive for 10 years and like under 40 grand? This is a good one. And the fact that it's got such substantial fuel savings, it runs on regular gas. Even when this thing does run out of gas, even at now like 3.5, it's got like a 9-gallon tank. So even if you run it absolutely dry, it's not really that expensive to fill up. 20 bucks to fill up, which will go at 40 miles. It goes like 400 miles for 20 bucks. You're not gonna really beat that. So there you have it. If you want a Chevy Volt, still give you 1.5 thumbs up. It's 1.5 thumbs up. It's not a 2 thumbs up because of the range, but other than that, it's been as expected, and I don't really have any complaints. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.